Hey to the most amazing nurses. It is Dr. V here with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses. So good morning, everyone. So before we even get started, I ask that you like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. We want to get all the information out to all the nurses and all the amazing people who want to hear about the nurses and even people who are not nurses, okay? Because Miss Darlene is not a nurse, but she's amazing. So anyway, let's start talking. So Darlene, tell me a little bit about who you are. Like, if you had to describe yourself in your own words, tell me who you are.
So I'm an amazing wife to the most amazing husband on this side of heaven. I am the mother of two gorgeous little people. They are twins, boy-girl twins, which is rare, but I love it because you get the best of both worlds. They are currently 23 years old. Thank you, Jesus.
Listen.
And, I am a dog mom of two beautiful show standard poodles. I am a HBCU grad from Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. Go Tigers. I am originally from Richmond, California, which I love. I'm back in California now, um, and I am a serial entrepreneur. I do my thing, right? And so that best describes who I am.
All right, I love it. So tell me a little bit about so did you start your career as a stewardess, flight steward?
I did.
Okay.
It was so amazing. I was in college, and we had a career day. I think it's a little backwards, but whatever. We had a career day, and all these companies came to TSU for career opportunities. And one of the companies that came was Delta Airlines, and they pretty much hired us on the spot. Which, like, if you think about it, why would they come in the middle of, we were sophomores in college, and so they take you away from school. And of course I ended up going back, but I dropped out of school to become a flight attendant for a while.
Wow. I know they didn't invite them back.
I don't even think they realized actually what was going on. And now, as Texas Southern, we have one of the only Black aviation departments, or in the U.S. especially for HBCU, and so now they really probably recruiting, but they're recruiting pilots and air traffic controllers and things of that nature. But yeah, they recruited, and a couple of us we took to the skies.
So tell me a little bit about your experience, because you actually flew before 9/11.
Absolutely. So I started out with Delta, and then I transferred over to American. I flew for them for about 10 years or so, or 11 years. And then 9/11 hit. And that day, I was actually supposed to be on a trip because at that time I was flying San Francisco, New York every week. And I was actually supposed to be on a trip that day in New York. But I changed my trip because at the time I had infant babies at home, and I couldn't, my husband couldn't get off. So I would work weekends and then he would work during the week so we could alternate. So I switched my trip to do a weekend trip instead of that day. But originally, I would have been in New York that day.
Mm, mm, that is something. So,
Yeah.
how did you feel about flying after 9/11?
So there were so many changes in the industry at that time. And what American did, which I am so blessed to have the opportunity, what they did was they offered a lot of flight attendants a package to leave. If if you could retire with your flying benefits for the rest of your life after 9/11 if you didn't feel comfortable flying anymore. And I was a little scared, right? And plus, like I said, I had newborn babies at home. So I wanted to be home. And after that, I was just really kind of nervous about flying. So I took the package that American offered. They offered us $10,000 and lifetime benefits. But I just wanted the lifetime benefits. So you guys kept the 10,000. But and so I took that opportunity because I had already started. I had already went back to college by that time. I had already started, in real estate by that time. So I had another career that was already jump started. And so it was a little bit easy for me to make that transition.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I really thought about it at that time. Of course, we fly a lot now, but at that time I didn't fly as much. But I do remember thinking, would I want to fly? And I think I did have a little bit of anxiousness, after then, because I didn't I hadn't when I first started flying. I had no anxiousness. But, now that we're talking about it, I believe that it had a lot to do with that. Of course, now, before they even say put your seatbelt on, okay, I didn't put that seatbelt on and I don't want to sleep, okay? But that time it was a little bit anxiousness. So I see that. So now you go into real estate, and then what happens with the real estate in 2008?
Oh my God. So I'm just rolling, right? I'm in because me and another flight attendant, we decided to do it together. And so we kind of partnered. So when she was working, I would show homes. And when I was flying, she would show homes. And we kind of partnered it together for a while. And so it was slow starting, but then all of a sudden it just, things picked up because by now I'm in the business for a couple of years. And so I decided to branch out on my own and open my own brokerage. So I opened, it was called Smile Financial Services, and it was Smile Real Estate and Mortgage Services. So not only did I have a real estate company, I had a mortgage company as well. And so what I did was, I just started, recruiting more agents, and I had a full staff and was doing really, really well. I never even dreamed of making that kind of money, I guess in my lifetime, but I was, close to 80, $90,000 a month. And the business was just booming, right? The real estate market was amazing. I was double ending a lot of deals, meaning not only did I do the real estate on the deal, I also would do the mortgage on the deal. So that really, kind of worked out for me. And then, boom, 2008 happened. At that time, I had like 5 cars, $3 million house, about seven or so um, investment properties, all over $500,000 a piece. Um, just had, you know, diverse myself or emerged myself in my craft and had a whole retirement plan that I thought was going to happen. And then the crash hit, bam.
Mhm.
So it left me in a really financial. We went to a period where not a bank. was opening, closing, servicing loans. Banks were not servicing loans, they were closing down. Nobody was doing any loans anymore. We went about 6 or 7 months where banks didn't even fund a deal. And so it really shattered the market.
I was listening. I want to say it's the movie called The Big Short, and because I didn't really understand the crash of the market, but from what I understand from that movie is that they would certify people to get these loans, right? Just on a regular basis, and they would certify people, who had a credit score of above certain levels, and then if they certified those people, then they were good, right? But what happened was they started to certify people who had very low credit scores and things of that nature. And that then transferred to the people who did have good credit scores, right? Because what they were doing was they were recalling those loans because they needed to, and basically asking you to pay out those loans. And that is what caused the crash, right? And so it was just, to me, it was just the craziest thing. And I was like, oh my God, that I can't even imagine going through that. So once you went through all that, like, what was your mindset in order to get back to where you needed to be? What happened?
Oh my God. So going through that was so traumatic, right? I was just not prepared, mentally not prepared at all. Every day you're losing something. This house is foreclosing. This bank is calling you. You know, can't pay to in California to financially afford a $3 million house, you have a $900 water bill each month, or your taxes is $45,000 a year. I mean, it's very expensive. So you have all these bills come, and you're like, what the heck? Well, how am I gonna pay this? Nothing is closing. My husband, he's great, but he wasn't making that kind of money, so he could not afford us those luxuries. So BMW was calling, they wanted their car. Mercedes was calling, they wanted their car. Every because we didn't necessarily buy things cash,
Right.
everything was leveraged, right? And then I had all these homes that I had people in, and I was taking their rent money, and instead of paying their mortgage, I was still trying to keep my mortgage, right?
Mhm.
And so it was just very, very stressful. And so I was just like pulling my hair out, like, what can I do? How can I get back up? What other career can I transition into really fast that, so I started helping people with modifications, trying to keep my clients, because I had so many clients and I didn't want them to lose their house. What was happening, kind of like you said before, a lot of banks were giving what they now call liar loans, right? And so the people weren't necessarily qualified for those loans, but banks allowed us to sell them. So we did sell those type of loans. And they started out with a very low interest rate. But then when the market hit, that interest rate shot up. So you went from paying $1,500 a month to now having to pay $4,500 or $6,500 a month for just regular homes. And everybody was losing their home. So I started trying to help, like, renegotiate some of those loans with the lenders, but of course they had no money, so I was doing a lot of that as a free service because they were my clients. I felt bad. At the same time, me and my family wasn't about to have any place to live also, right? So um there was a lot of, I felt like in my case there was some redlining. I was 38 years old in that time, and I was living in this exclusive community in Pleasanton, California. And, it just wasn't many of our kind there. So I was really the first to go. But it was very stressful. I can't even imagine. I mean, I lost weight. It was stressful. It was very, very, very stressful for me. Um,
I,
and many nights of, slumber and just, and I felt so, um, connected to my clients that I was just doing everything I could. Even sometimes the little money that I had, I was trying to help my clients keep their homes. So it was a stressful time.
yeah, I can imagine that it was. I didn't understand. To, I mean, at that time, I just didn't understand it at all. Like I was like, what is going on? But I remember the big news about it. And I remember when I got my home, they were like talking about an adjustable, because what you're talking about is an adjustable rate mortgage, right? I'm talking about I was like, listen, I need to know what I'm gonna pay today and what I'm gonna pay in year 15 and what I'm paying year 30. Okay. I can't be doing that adjustable rate. I said every time I would go in, I was like, we doing a fixed, right? And they were like, yeah. I was like, okay, all right. I was like, I don't want 2% now and then 10% in the future. Okay. I don't want that. And so I was very clear on that because I needed some stability on that piece. So but I get that, that keeping that interest rate, lower, and I understand that concept for sure. So now tell me, and people just couldn't refinance. That was the deal, though. You couldn't refinance. So typically what happens is when that adjustable rate comes in, people start to refinance, and they refinance with the fixed loan. But if they're not giving you the refinance, then you can't, like, you're between a rock and a hard place. So I get that. Now let's fast forward to today. One of the things that you do today is you help people with their trust. So tell me a little bit about that and how you got into that, and the reason why it's important.
Okay, so fast forward, I stayed in the industry, and I just suffered through, when the market came back, and so I'm still in that industry. But what I also was introduced to was life insurance, right, during that time. And so, um, and my mom got sick right at when the pandemic hit, and she got a terminal cancer. So that was a part of me dealing with that too. And so upon her expire, my mom had property. And actually, I just must shout out to her. She saved us. She had money saved, and she allowed us to rebuild. That's how I kind of got out of that rut. But she was expiring, and upon her expiration, she had a whole bunch of life insurances, and she had property, and she had a trust, and she had all these things. And the biggest thing for me is my mom only went to third grade. She was from Louisiana. She moved to California. She got out here at 15. She already had two kids, and she worked her behind off. She got on with General Motors, and then she ended up bringing all her sisters and brothers to California, and she just worked like a worker bee. And she had made a lot of great decisions. She had bought properties, she had bought apartment buildings. And so it when she passed, everything, it cost us $6 to open her mausoleum and put her in there. And then we had all me and my sisters had all these insurance policies and all this stuff. And we were like, wow, how does she do this? How does she know to do this? Because her educational level wasn't that high. So I was like, who showed her how to do all this? And I was just real curious from that point. And so I start looking at how she did it and what was some of the things. I mean, I remember the insurance man coming by to pick up the check and all that, but I didn't know uh, the little Indian man girl. He used to come by every month. Hello. And anyway, and actually he loved my mom. And so I was like, how does she know to do all this? And when, we didn't know that, like the money would transfer tax free. We didn't know any of that, but we were now put in the situation where we were experiencing generational wealth. And so once I went through that whole process of taking care of her and getting everything in order, and I saw all the things that she had put in place, I was like, this is amazing. And, I tell everybody about it. My mama was crazy, but yeah, she was amazing because she was my dear on steroids, right? But, um, I mean, cuss you
I
out.
mean, she's from New Orleans, right? So
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
was, she was oh Lord, you had to know her to know what I'm saying. But so I just was like, how did she do all this? And so then, some of her brothers and sisters passed on, and we were, not GoFundMe, but we were trying to get, money and stuff. And then I was like, well, mom did it like this. How did that happen? So as I researched and as I start being exposed to the information that we are not given, I was like, this is some real good stuff. And I have to start sharing it with the masses. So I jumped in, I went and took, I had a degree already. So I went to the University of California, Davis, and I took some legal study classes. Oh, back up. When my mother got sick with cancer and I was going through that transition, I decided to go to law school. So I enrolled in law school and I started going to law school. But it was so much reading and taking care of my mom at the same time. I didn't make it through the first year. So now, fast forward, she passed on. I'm still very intrigued. I take a legal studies class, get a legal studies certificate from University of California, Davis, and I just started putting it together with my real estate.
hmm, okay, okay. And so the what is the key component of a trust? What does it help you do?
The key component is building generational wealth. So it keeps you out of probate, right? So a
Mhm.
lot of our people, we do not, um, we go to probate. And so what happens is we have to go through the US court systems to handle our affairs after we expire or after we become incapacitated with dementia or Alzheimer's or any other debilitating disease. We don't have the people or means in place to handle our affairs. So they end up at the U.S. Court Department, and we have to let them determine who, how, and why our affairs need to be handled in such a certain way. That takes away from our family dynamic financially because that probate is very expensive. And so it keeps you from allowing the court system to handle your business.
And one thing that I was, sorely mistaken. I used to always think that if you had a will, then you were good. But the reality is that the will, so I guess, especially in the nursing world, we have to think about it as a living will. So in the nursing world, whenever you have a living will, you have the ability to be able to tell whoever you want what your wishes are. This is the same way that a will works. It just tells them what your wishes are. But if a family member comes in there and they're like, do everything, I mean, we don't have any choice but to do everything, right? And the it is said that you should not, and that is not what you should do, and that is illegal. But the reality, I'm just giving you reality. The reality is that the way that the physicians look at it, the way that the people in the hospital look at it is, you may not survive, but this person right here is sitting here, and if they survive and if they decide to sue us, then where we left at that, right? So we want to do what, and that's cold reality. I don't care whether it's good, bad, different, or ugly. That is cold reality. So and another thing is the capital gain. So people don't understand that if you get something, so if I were to just I would have passed away and my daughter was to get this house, and she would have to pay capital gains on the home. Correct? Am I correct about that?
Absolutely.
And so,
If
and how
if
much is
so,
that? What's the percentage on that?
so let's talk about the healthcare directive.
Okay.
In your trust packet, or your will. So you have a will, which we call it a pour over will because it pours over into your trust. Your will is your wishes. Your trust protects everything. In that trust, you also have a healthcare directive. You get to make a voice and say, I want these things done, um, where my health is concerned. In that trust, you also get a HIPAA compliant document that says, I want this person to be able to share my medical records and make decisions for me. Um, and so that is so important because you're right. If you don't want, you know, a feeding tube or whatever, or to be, if you want a DNR, do not resuscitate or whatnot, you want to have that specified. But if that family member is sitting there, like you said, the doctor has nothing to do but what that family member wants, whether at the cost of your health, expense, right? So it's very important to have those documents in place. Now, that is a part of your trust, right? It's healthcare directive and a HIPAA compliance form, so it gives someone else the right, your power of attorney to make decisions on your behalf when you become incapacitated to do so. Now, the other thing you mentioned was how what is the benefit? You said what was the second question you asked me? Because I wanted to make sure I answered both questions.
Capital gains. So
Okay.
what is the
So the
what is
benefit of your trust, if your house is in a will, it or I'm not going to just say house. If your assets are in a will, they end up in probate. Upon you selling, or your loved ones settling your probate case, either selling your assets or transferring them to other people, they come with a dollar value. So that dollar value is transferred to your beneficiaries via probate, which then will um, consist of capital gains. So anything over, I think, $150,000, they have to pay capital gains on that money or whatever. That even includes um, insurance policies and that whatnot. However, if you have your items in a trust, not a will go through probate. A trust will not. So if you have it in a trust, they are able to um, avoid capital gains, right? They don't have to pay taxes. That is not considered income for them. So they get to avoid capital gains on anything you leave to them via a living trust.
I love that. And so that is hugely the importance of a trust. And so I encourage everyone to go out and get a trust because it's highly important. Um, so first I want to say thank you because you have enlightened so many people as it relates to um, how to proceed with executive planning, right? Because you want to ensure that your family members don't have to deal with things that, it's hard enough to bury you, right? And then have to deal with all that other drama that goes on going to the court through this court system and doing probate and all of that. They won't have to do that. So thank you for doing that. So I have some rapid fire questions as we leave. So are you ready?
Go for it.
Right. So what is well, this one is about nursing, so I'm gonna go there. So what are you reading now?
Oh my God. I am. I'm in a book club. Well, two book clubs. So I, I know. So I'm reading. Right. I read junk. I don't read a lot of. I know I read junk. So and I like it because reading is on my pastime. So, but I am reading. I someone just referred a book to me. Um, and I can't remember the name of it. I do have it in my book list, but I'm reading some junk right now. Summer Love, and I think that was our shout out book teeny. That's my book club, and they're nationwide. But I think we're reading Summer Love for the month of May, and so I'm on that. And then I have a couple other, but it's a good book that about financial stuff that someone referred to me, but I haven't downloaded it yet. But I love to read, so I'm always reading romance books. I don't read a lot of what I should read in my career, but I'll put it on audiobook for sure.
I gotcha. One of the things that when it comes to like I don't think I've ever liked romance because they like it always seems like they get together at the end. So I was like, I know what the end is, so I don't
Yeah.
really want to do that. And so I used to read mystery books for a long time, and then I got into the whole self help. Professional development and personal development, and so I've not left that as of yet. So we're in the good business, but I used to love good mystery. So now, what's your favorite? So now, who is the leader, living or dead, that you want to have a conversation with?
Oh my God, I would love to have a conversation with um, Michelle Obama.
You know what? That's the second time someone has said that.
I
And
would
tell me why.
I just like her energy, right?
Mhm.
I like how she handles Barack. I like how she handles her business. I like how she keeps it real, even about her kids. I love her energy. I like that she moved. She's all about moving. Um, and it used to be Les Brown, right? Because I used to be like, oh, I want to be a speaker like him. I want to stand up and I want to motivate people. But then I got to meet him, and I was like, oh, okay, he cool. But I think it's Michelle Obama.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Now, what's your favorite movie?
Oh Lord, let me see. What's my favorite movie? I I have to say, Love and Basketball.
Yeah. Now, literally, I probably heard that about 1,000 times for sure. For sure. For sure. It is a great movie. Now,
And Stomp the Yard. I love and Basketball and Stomp the Yard. Those are my two favorites.
and who now? Say that one more time.
Stomp the Yard. It's the one with
Yard.
Stomp
Ah,
the Yard. Yeah, I think
gotcha,
it's Chris
gotcha.
Brown or whatever. But it's when they went to a black school, right? And then it's all about pledging, and so yeah.
I love it. So now, how do you define success?
When you have met your emotional goal, whatever it's not financial, right? When you have like all the things that you set out to do and you are emotionally full, then I find that that's it. You can make a bunch of money and not be happy, right? Or
Right.
you can, when you've done all your give back, because I'm a give backer, right? I'm a community worker. So when I feel like I've done my job, like as a person, as a human being, as a mom, as a wife, as a community servant, as a ministerial servant in my church, that is how I define success.
Love it. So now, what is your life motto?
My life motto is to have fun. Just have fun.
Yes.
Do what you like to do. I recently bought me a three-wheeler motorcycle 2 years ago. And girl, I be on I carve out Sundays and I ride my motorcycle and just have fun. My motto is fun. What makes your spirit smile? Like when I put my helmet on and I get my motorcycle jacket on and I didn't put the beat on there and I get on there and I throw me on some Aretha Franklin and I'm rolling. I could be on I'm fun. I'm happy that so just have a good time, smile as much as you can, enjoy life, thank God, and just have a good time, have fun.
I love it. So, where can people find you?
So you can find me. I'm at www.empireestateplanning.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter or X, whatever they call it, LinkedIn, Darlene. I don't know what they call it now. But I'm under Coach Darlene. And you can find me on all of those handles as Coach Darlene. And, check me out on my website.
I love it. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you could like, share, comment, and subscribe to the Nurse Nurturer channel, that would be wonderful. It has been a pleasure having you here, Darlene. It's been a pleasure and eye-opening, the information that you provided. So thank you for serving in such an amazing way. And we look forward to you, ladies and gentlemen, on our next masterclass. You can go to vpnursing.com and sign up for the next masterclass. You have an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.